BGMC. The biblical truth lives here.
We are living in a time like no other in history, but fortunately for us, God wrote it all down in His prophecies. Find out what prophecies happened this week ripped straight from the headlines. Stay tuned for the Prophecy Headlines news show on the Remnant's Call.
Let's get to the news. Oh my goodness. Oh the goodness.
Vamos a ver las noticias.
There's some beautiful news out of Israel this week though.
Muy bellas noticias desde Israel en esta semana.
Okay, and the first story out of Israel.
Y la primera historia de Israel
Oh, I
es...
forgot I put this there. All right, here's something.
Aquí hay algo.
In 1944, 18-year-olds stormed the beach of Normandy in almost certain death. In 2016, 18-year-olds need a safe place because words hurt their feelings. Oh, pansies.
En 1944, 18 años, una tormenta. En 1944, what about this 18 years? Oh, personas de 18 años entraron con fuerza a la playa de Normandy.
Normandy.
Pero en el 2016, los jóvenes de 18 años se sienten ofendidos por cualquier cosa que les suceda.
All right, next slide. All right, let's. Something very interesting is going on around the globe.
Muchas cosas interesantes están aconteciendo a nivel mundial.
There are a lot of people seeking their Hebrew roots.
Hay muchas personas buscando de sus raíces hebreas.
So much so they're having a DNA conference.
Tanto así que tienen una conferencia sobre el ADN.
Okay, conference that traces Jewish DNA is being held in Washington.
Una conferencia
State.
en Washington, en el estado de Washington sobre el ADN.
Okay, so there are a lot of people throughout America and throughout the world
Muchas personas en Estados Unidos, América y a nivel
that
mundial
have heard stories in their families,
que son buscando las historias de su familia
and now they're going to this conference
y ahora ellos van a esta conferencia
to get their blood, their spit taken,
para que se tome su saliva
and to tell of the family history and stories,
y así poder ver la historia de su familia,
so that we could start mapping the world where the Jews might have gone.
y así podemos rastrear a través de eso los judíos que se han perdido.
Next slide, please. And there, around the globe in Spanish communities,
A nivel mundial, la comunidad hispana,
there has been a very big upswing,
hay un gran movimiento,
interest, a great interest
hay un gran interés
in that they're Jewish.
de ser judíos.
Many Latinos are finding out that they are Jewish
Muchos latinos han descubierto que sí son judíos
and that they were crypto Jews.
y se han hecho llamar Cristo judíos.
Okay, and they're emigrating back to Israel from all parts of Latin America
Y de toda parte de Latinoamérica están regresando a Israel.
and even Puerto Rico.
E incluso los
Right, that's the Puerto
puertorriqueños.
Rican flag over there?
Yeah.
I thought that was the Cuban flag.
It's the reverse color.
Yeah, one's all right, next slide.
La próxima página.
There you see the king of Togo.
Ahí estás viendo el rey de Togo.
He is claiming that he's Jewish.
Él está declarando que es judío
And they went back to Israel,
y han regresado a Israel
and they're asking for the people of Togo to have citizenship in Israel.
y está haciendo el llamado a las personas de Togo que se hagan ciudadanos de Israel.
Okay, that's
Israelitas.
and that they're part of the lost tribes of Israel.
Son parte de las tribus perdidas de Israel.
Remember in 70 when Israel was destroyed,
¿Recuerdan en el año 70 cuando la destrucción de
the
Israel?
Jews sailed around Africa.
Los judíos se descendieron alrededor de África.
A lot of them settled in South Africa
Muchos se establecieron en Sudáfrica
and other parts of Africa along the coasts.
y alrededor de la costa también se establecieron.
and in different other parts of the continent of Africa.
Y en otras partes diferentes del continente africano.
So now the king Francois Ai,
Y entonces el rey de Swagenali,
I guess that's a French colony,
François ahí,
because you would not be called Francois
François,
unless you are French. Okay? So he wants citizenship in Israel.
él quiere la ciudadanía israelita.
Next slide, please. Okay? That's bacon.
Eso es bacon.
And that's pig bacon.
Eso es bacon de cerdo.
Something amazing is going on in Tel Aviv.
Hay algo que se está cocinando en Tel Aviv.
Tel Aviv is a very secular city.
Tel Aviv es una ciudad bien secular.
Most of the restaurants are taking pork off their menu.
Muchos de los restaurantes están sacando el cerdo de sus menús.
Amen. Next slide, please. There's no anti-Semitism stories this week, so let's get to the regular news.
Amén.
End time prophecy ripped from the headlines. First part comes from the book of Nahum,
Esta parte viene del libro de Nahum,
chapter 1, verse 3.
del capítulo 1, verso 3.
That says, the clouds are the dust of the Lord's feet.
Dice que las nubes son el polvo de los pies del Señor.
Next slide. That is a 328-foot high wall of dust.
Esto es 328 pies de altura de polvo.
That's happening in China.
Está aconteciendo en China.
Imagine this dust thing coming at you at 328 feet high. It was 100 meters high.
Eso es unos 100 metros más o menos de altura de polvo.
That's going to ruin everything in your car.
Eso va a arruinar todo de tu auto.
If you have an outside air conditioner,
Si tienes un aire acondicionado
and all
de
that dust is going to
ventana,
come into your house.
todo ese aire va a entrar a tu casa.
It's going to get into your computer.
Incluso se va a entrar en tu computador.
The Lord is pretty fed up with what's going on in China
Y el Señor está muy molesto de lo que está aconteciendo en la China.
because of them killing the Christians and destroying the churches.
Ellos están allá destruyendo las iglesias y matando a los cristianos.
Next slide, please. Okay, the sodomite liars comes from Exodus 20, verse 16. God said you should not lie.
En Éxodo 20:16 o en el verso 13, el Señor dice, no mentirás.
Next slide, please.
Próxima página, por favor.
A couple of months ago, there was this news story
Hace unos meses atrás, esta noticia,
that this gay pastor
que este pastor homosexual
went to the supermarket called Whole Foods.
fue al supermercado a comprar comida.
And he ordered a cake and he wanted love wins on the cake.
Y en la torta quería que dijera alas que de amor.
But
El amor gana.
but he said that they didn't just write that on the cake.
What is it?
Ok, este pastor gay hace mucho tiempo fue a ordenar un cake del supermercado Whole Foods y él pidió que le escriban en el cake el amor gana, pero él estaba aludiendo o dijo que habían escrito la palabra homosexual.
But they found out because they had videotape of him leaving the supermarket.
Se dieron cuenta que en las grabaciones del supermercado
And the cake was sealed.
que el pastel estaba sellado.
So what he did,
Y
he
lo que él
admitted it
hizo,
now,
él lo admitió ahora,
is he took the cake home and wrote it himself.
es que él tomó el cake a la casa, se lo llevó y escribió esa palabra él mismo.
And this guy is a youth pastor.
Y este pastor es de jóvenes.
This is what happens when you're a sodomite.
Esto es lo que pasa cuando eres sodomita.
You don't have any rules.
Tú no tienes reglas.
And so the news is not playing this up.
Las noticias no están mostrando.
CNN didn't say anything about this.
CNN no dijo nada de esto.
Not even Fox.
No dijo ni siquiera Fox.
But this guy has admitted openly that he lied.
Pero este hombre ha admitido abiertamente que él mintió.
He should be thrown in jail for this.
Él debería ser arrojado a la cárcel
Because this is, you lied to the courts.
porque mentiste a la corte.
That means that's a federal offense.
Significa que es una ofensa federal.
Next slide, please. John 17 verse 14 says you're going to be hated for following Yeshua.
Juan 17:14 dice que serás odiado por seguir a Yeshua.
Next slide, please.
Próxima página.
Throughout the Middle East, the Christians are being murdered.
En todo el Medio Oriente los cristianos están siendo asesinados.
More than 2/3 of the Christians
Más de 2/3 de los cristianos.
in Sirte, Libya,
En Sirte, Libia,
that was 80,000 Christians,
habían 80,000 cristianos
have been displaced.
que han sido removidos de sus lugares.
These are the ones we should be letting into our country.
Estos son la gente que debemos entrar a nuestro
The
país.
Muslims are not being displaced.
Los musulmanes no están siendo expulsados,
Christians are being murdered.
pero a los cristianos los están
As
asesinando.
soon as they find out you're a Christian, they kill you.
Tan pronto se dan cuenta que eres cristiano, te matan.
This is where our military should be bombing the Dickens out of ISIS
Aquí es donde nuestra milicia debería estar bombardeando a ISIS
and putting boots on the ground.
y poniendo tropas en
Bible in one
esa área.
hand and the boots of the military in the other hand.
La Biblia en una mano y los soldados con ella.
We should be protecting these people.
Deberíamos estar protegiendo a esta gente.
Next slide, please. Babylon has fallen in Revelation 14, verse 8.
Babilonia ha caído, Revelaciones 14, verso
It
8.
talks about Babylon getting destroyed. Please pay attention to this.
Habla de Babilonia siendo destruida. Pongan atención, por favor.
Next slide. You went the wrong way. Both Russia and China are getting rid of the dollar at a rapid pace.
Rusia y China se están deshaciendo de los dólares en una manera rápida
Okay? And they're buying gold with that money.
y están comprando oro con este dinero.
What's that going to do to the American economy very
¿Qué
shortly?
es lo que va a hacer eso a la economía americana?
It's going to collapse.
Va a colapsar.
They last month, I think it was $17 billion they sold off.
El último mes ellos vendieron 17 millones de dólares.
Okay? Next slide, please. Exodus 22, verse 22.
Éxodo 22, verso 22.
You're here to take care of the widow and the orphan and the unborn child.
Estamos aquí para cuidar de la viuda del huérfano.
Next slide, please. In South Carolina, they passed a bill banning abortion after 19 weeks.
En Carolina del Sur han pasado una ley prohibiendo el aborto de un bebé después de 19 semanas.
That is the 17th state that has passed legislation
Es el estado número 17 que ha pasado esta ley,
totally contradicting the federal government.
contradiciendo totalmente al gobierno federal.
And 12 more states are about to pass it.
Y 12 estados más están a punto de pasarlo.
Okay, this is a step in the right direction, everybody.
Este es un paso en la dirección correcta.
How many people here do we have here
¿Cuánta gente tenemos aquí
who are survivors of abortion?
que son sobrevivientes de aborto?
I'm a survivor of an abortion.
Yo soy un sobreviviente
My
de
mother gave
aborto.
birth to me. How many
Mi
people
madre
survived
me dio a
abortion?
luz. ¿Cuántos sobrevivimos
Everybody's
al
hand should be
aborto?
up.
Todos deberían tener las manos
I
arriba.
survived abortion.
Yo sobreviví al aborto.
Okay? What this is happening, everybody,
Lo que está pasando aquí
is that the nation is about to divide like in the Civil War.
es que la nación está a punto de dividirse como en la guerra civil.
Okay? Next slide, please. In Deuteronomy 28, verse 17,
En Deuteronomio 28, verso 17.
one of the curses is God's going to take away your food.
Una de las maldiciones es que Dios va a quitarte la comida.
Go to the next slide. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is saying
El Departamento de Agricultura de Estados Unidos está diciendo
that everybody should always have at their home
que siempre todos deben tener en sus hogares
at least 1 week's worth of food.
por lo menos una semana de valor de comida.
I highly recommend to everybody,
Yo recomiendo mucho a todos.
you should have way more than a week's worth of food.
Debes tener mucho más que una semana de valor de comida.
I've been saying this for like at least a year or two.
Yo he estado diciendo por lo menos como
But
un
it's
año
coming.
o dos. Pero esto viene.
When our country collapses
Que cuando nuestro país caiga
or we get hit with an EMP,
o seamos golpeados con una bomba EMP,
you're going to need to have food.
Vas a necesitar tener comida.
in your house because the shelves at the supermarket will be emptied in a day.
En tu hogar, porque los supermercados van a ser vaciados en un día.
So if the Department of Agriculture is saying
Si el
this,
Departamento de Agricultura está diciendo esto,
and that's giving you a little hint of what is about to happen.
esto te está dando una pequeña pista de lo que va a pasar.
Next slide, please. In Revelation chapter 6, verse 7 and
En
8,
Revelaciones 6 y 7,
it talks about the fourth seal being opened up
habla del cuarto sello que se va a abrir
and 25% of the world dying.
y 25% del mundo muere.
Next slide, please. There's a survey that was done by National Geographic this past week
Hubo una investigación que se hizo por National Geographic esta semana
and found out that the world's fastest growing religion
y encontraron que la religión más grande que está creciendo en el mundo
is no religion at all.
es no religión del todo.
There are so many people that are walking away from God everywhere in the world.
Hay tanta gente que se está alejando de Dios en todo lugar en el mundo.
So that's why that part of Revelation is very important, everybody.
Por eso es que esta parte de Apocalipsis es muy importante.
Because God said, you don't want me? That's all right.
Porque Dios dice, no me quieres, está bien.
I'll let you fight amongst yourselves.
Yo te voy a dejar pelear entre
And there's a
ustedes.
lot of people with nuclear bombs
Y hay
today.
mucha gente que tiene bombas nucleares hoy.
Next slide, please. In Romans chapter 1, verse 24, it talks about the Sodomites.
Romanos 1:24 habla de los sodomitas.
Next slide, please. Here in America, we have a terrible military now.
Aquí en América tenemos un ejército terrible ahora.
This past week, the Senate
Esta semana que pasó, el Senado
confirmed unanimously
confirmó en una sola voz
to have the first openly gay civilian boss.
que tienen el primer civil homosexual.
Now, these are the senators.
Estos son los senadores.
There were two senators recently running for the presidency.
Hubieron dos senadores que estaban postulándose para la presidencia.
Senator Mark Rubio from
Senador
Florida,
Marco Rubio,
who
de Florida,
says he's a religious man,
que dice que es un hombre religioso,
and Senator Ted Cruz,
y el senador Ted Cruz,
who said he was a Bible believer.
que dijo que era un creyente de la Biblia.
They voted to let this gay guy be in charge of our army.
Ellos votaron para permitir que este hombre homosexual esté a cargo del ejército.
You can't have a fag in charge of your army,
No puedes tener un homosexual a cargo del
especially when it comes to
ejército.
military.
Especialmente cuando se trata del ejército.
Men need to be men.
Los hombres necesitan ser hombres.
I don't want a woman in a foxhole with me
Yo no quiero una mujer ahí conmigo en el hueco,
because I want to protect her.
porque quiero protegerla.
Okay? That's the way God designed men,
Esa es
real
la-
men.
Esa es la manera que Dios diseñó a hombres verdaderos.
Oh, I don't know what we're going to do.
Yo no sé qué vamos a hacer ahora.
They're shooting at us.
Van a dispararnos.
Stop.
Detente.
You're not nice. You're hurting my feelings.
No eres simpático, estás lastimando nuestros sentimientos.
What you want in the military,
Pero lo que quieres en la milicia.
you shooting at me?
Me estás disparando.
Ugh.
Enojando.
Want somebody who's going to get angry
Alguien se tiene que enojar.
and want to go kill that
Y
person.
quieres ir a matar a esa
That's what
persona.
I want in my military.
Eso es lo que yo quisiera en mi ejército.
Not, oh, you look so nice today.
No, te ves muy bien hoy.
That hat makes you look, oh.
Esa gorra te hace ver muy bien.
I want men that are going to be men.
Quiero hombres que sean hombres.
Next slide. Next slide, please. Prophecy, Revelation 13, verse 16,
Apocalipsis 13:16
talks about the mark of the beast.
habla acerca de la marca de la bestia.
This is getting closer each and every day.
Nos estamos acercando a esto cada día más.
Next slide. This week at the New York Stock Exchange, there was a technology glitch.
En esta semana en la bolsa de valores hubo unos problemas técnicos.
One does not have a technology glitch at the stock exchange.
Uno no quiere tener problemas técnicos en el centro de intercambios.
Somebody hacked into the system,
Alguien se metió en el sistema.
and 199 different companies had to stop selling.
Si 199 compañías tuvieron que dejar de vender.
That was somebody testing.
Era alguien que estaba probando.
So
algo.
how are they going to stop it?
¿Cómo lo van a detener?
The only way to trade
La única manera de
is to
intercambiar
put your thumb on the scanner.
es el poner tu pulgar en un
Or
escáner
put your eye on the scanner.
o tu ojo en un escáner.
Exactly what it says in Revelation 13.
Exactamente como es en Revelaciones 16.
Next slide, please. Sickness. Please pay
Enfermedades.
attention to this one and
Pongan
get your
atención.
oils.
Pongan atención a esto y tengan sus aceites.
In
listos.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 22,
Deuteronomio 28-22.
God says, when you don't want to follow me, I'm going to send sickness.
Dios dijo, si no me quieres seguir a mí, te voy a mandar enfermedad.
Next slide. Here in Tokyo, there has been an outbreak of tuberculosis.
Aquí en Tokio ha habido la enfermedad de la tuberculosis ha vuelto a aparecer.
How do you get tuberculosis?
¿Cómo es que obtienes la tuberculosis?
You're on a train.
Estás en el tren.
You ever see those people getting into a train in Tokyo?
¿Ves esa gente que entra en el tren en Tokio?
Let's just say you're really close with your neighbor.
Digamos que estás muy cerca de tu vecino.
Super close with your neighbor.
Demasiado cerca con tu vecino.
And all it takes is one cough.
Y todo lo que toma es un estornudo.
And
una
you don't have
tos.
enough drugs to get rid of that much
Y
tuberculosis.
no hay drogas suficientes para deshacerse de esa tuberculosis.
Next slide. And here, right here in Minnesota,
Aquí en Minnesota,
those fine, outstanding Muslims that Obama's been bringing to our nation,
esos fabulosos musulmanes que Obama ha estado trayendo a la nación,
22% of the Muslim refugees
22% de los musulmanes refugiados
have tuberculosis in Minnesota.
tuvieron tuberculosis en Minnesota.
What you're doing is incubating this disease.
Lo que estás haciendo es incubando esta enfermedad
And then when somebody's almost really sick,
y vas a hacer que alguien esté muy enfermo.
what do you do?
¿Qué es lo que haces?
You bring them to a major city.
Los llevas a una ciudad grande.
You bring like 10 people that are really percolating with the disease.
Tienes, si llevas 10 personas que están realmente enfermas con esa
And what do you do with
enfermedad,
them?
¿qué haces con
You
ellos?
have them ride the subway
Los haces que vayan por los subterráneos
during rush hour.
durante la hora
You
pico.
bring them to New York City.
Los llevas a Nueva York.
You go up and down the streets of Manhattan.
Puedes ir y venir por las calles de Manhattan.
And then what happens?
¿Y después qué pasa?
You have a pandemic.
Tienes una epidemia
And you have lots of people dead.
y tienes mucha gente que ha muerto.
Next slide, please.
Próxima página.
Here's another interesting report.
Aquí hay otro interesante reportaje.
3 out of every 10 gay or bisexual men
3 de 10 homosexuales o bisexuales
in the major cities of America have AIDS.
en las ciudades mayores en América tienen SIDA.
That's over 30%.
Eso es como el 30%.
Over 30% of
Como,
gay or bisexual
como
men.
el 30% de hombres bisexuales o gay.
So how do you stay away from this?
¿Cómo es que te mantienes lejos de
Stay
eso?
married
Mantente casado
and don't visit the prostitutes.
y no visites a las prostitutas
And don't do intravenous drug use.
y no hagas drogas intravenosas.
How do you get HIV?
¿Cómo es que te contagias del SIDA?
Sexual contact
Contacto sexual
or needles, dirty needles.
o agujas sucias.
That's the only 2 ways to getting AIDS.
Esa es la única manera de obtener
There
enfermedad.
is rare cases where a healthcare worker has gotten the virus.
Hay casos raros donde el trabajador de salud se ha contagiado de la enfermedad.
Next slide, please. If you do not love God,
Y si tú no amas a Dios,
He's going to give your stuff to your enemy.
Él te va a dar o que va a entregarte tus cosas a tu enemigo.
And that comes from Deuteronomy 28, verse 30.
Y viene eso está en Deuteronomio 28:30.
Next slide. Here in Germany,
Aquí en Alemania,
the Germans have really kicked God out of their nation.
los alemanes expulsaron a Dios de la nación.
40,000 Christians are being persecuted by the Muslims.
40,000 cristianos están siendo perseguidos por musulmanes en Alemania.
This is heading for war.
Esto se está encaminando a la guerra.
Because wait till October.
Porque espérate hasta octubre.
What happens in October in Germany?
¿Qué pasa en octubre en Alemania?
Oktoberfest.
Tiene la celebración de
What do you do at
Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest?
¿Qué haces en Oktoberfest?
You eat a lot of pork
Comes mucho cerdo
and you drink a lot of beer.
y tomas mucha cerveza.
What are 2 things that Islam is against?
¿Cuáles son las 2 cosas que el Islam está en
Pork
contra?
and
El
beer.
cerdo y la cerveza.
You try to take a German's beer away,
Trata de quitar la cerveza a un alemán.
get ready for World War III to begin soon.
Prepárate para la tercera guerra que comience.
Next slide, please. All right, that's it for the news that we have today.
Eso es todo por hoy.
Shalom. My name is Messianic Rabbi Andrew Dinnerman, and I invite you to come to visit our congregation. If you are in the tri-state area, come out and visit with us on Shabbat. We are a congregation of Jews and Gentiles, living as one in the Messiah Yeshua. BGMC is a place of true worship. The focus never wanders from the Hebraic roots of our faith. Beth Goyim is rooted in the Word of God from Bereshit through to the book of Revelation. Messiah's strong words against man-made tradition are carefully recorded in Matthew 7. That is the reason we only follow the straight-up instructions found in Scripture. Truly, the way, the truth, and the life. If you're looking for a deeper walk with Adonai, come out for our Tuesday evening Bible study called Messianic Torah Time. Come, spend a day with us on any Shabbat. We start at 11 a.m. with the sound of the ancient Hebrew shofar. Next, we offer our King praise and worship in English, Hebrew, and Spanish. After worship, we review the headlines in the previous week's news from around the globe, especially news from the Holy Land, Israel. We don't just list the news headlines as current events, but we comb through the scriptures, searching for clues to understand what they mean and then to help pinpoint prophetically our current position on Adonai's clock. After digesting all that modern information, we leave the world behind as we journey with our Adonai deep into His eternal Word, not with just 1 or 2 scriptures, but usually 7 or more scriptures. The spiritual nourishment and the richness of His kingdom become accessible to the ones who share this special time and seek them out. The day does not end there. Because Shabbat is so special to Him, there is always so much more that our King desires to share. So instead of separating and leaving, we stay together as a family for potluck lunch and an afternoon study of our King's Word. We close the Shabbat together with the reading of the new week's parashah. That's the Torah portion. Even after those blessings, many of us just can't get enough. So the members bring prepared homemade foods to share while we all enjoy an uplifting movie together. If all that information is not quite enough, you can check out our website where you will find over 200 video teachings and biblical holy day studies. Under Messianic Torah Time, the Hebrew Roots button, you'll discover free studies on many, many different topics, including PowerPoint slide presentations. If Beth Goyim sounds like a place you'd love to visit, but you live outside the tri-state area, there is still a way to connect with us. We stream live on the internet on Tuesday, Thursday, and Shabbat. The website is www.bethgoyim.org. That's BETHGOYIM.org. Our phone number is 973-338-7800 or 978-2-YESHUA. That's 978, the number 2, Yeshua. Shalom.